Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of modern psychology, left us with a truth that deeply resonates with the human soul. Pain is not merely a burden we carry, but a gateway to our most profound transformation. Too often, when we face suffering, we perceive it as an enemy, something to escape from at all costs. But Jung taught us that within that very pain lies the key to discovering who we truly are and attaining an inner peace that cannot be broken. Perhaps, at some point, you have felt that pain is consuming you as if there were no way out, no solution in sight. But what if I told you that the pain you fear so much is actually a sign? Not a sign of weakness or defeat, but a call, an urgent message from within, from that part of you that longs to be seen and heard. Jung described the unconscious as a vast and deep ocean, holding all our secrets, our repressed emotions, and our shadows. And in the heart of that ocean, pain acts as a beacon, guiding us toward the parts of ourselves that we have neglected. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack on a long journey. Each step feels more difficult. The weight becomes overwhelming and exhaustion takes over. But one day, you decide to stop and open the backpack. Inside, you find not just stones, but also tools, lessons, truths, and a strength you never knew you possessed. This is how pain works in our lives. It is not there to destroy us, but to reveal what we need to confront and overcome. Jung believed that suffering is a universal experience, but what differentiates those who transform from those who remain stuck is the willingness to look within. It is easy to blame the world, others, or even God for our pain, but true liberation begins when we take responsibility for exploring it. This is not about blaming yourself. It is about understanding that the power to heal and grow has always been within you. In our darkest moments, the unconscious sends us messages, though we rarely recognize them at first. It may come as a recurring dream, an overwhelming sense of emptiness, or even constant conflicts in our relationships. These are not mere accidents or coincidences. They are symbols, ways in which our psyche urges us to pay attention. Jung said that ignoring these messages is like trying to cover the sun with a single finger. Eventually, the truth will reveal itself, and that truth is not always comfortable. Many times, our pain is deeply connected to our shadows, the parts of ourselves we prefer not to see. Perhaps it is a fear we have carried since childhood, an insecurity that paralyzes us, or an emotional wound we never allowed to heal. But Jung showed us that facing our shadows is the first step toward integrating them, turning them into a source of power rather than a burden. As you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, what emotions have I been repressing? What experiences have I avoided confronting out of fear of reliving the pain? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary, because only when we gather the courage to look within ourselves can we truly begin the healing process. And in that process, we discover something remarkable, that we are far stronger and wiser than we ever believed. As we move forward on this journey, remember, pain is not the end. It is a teacher, one that challenges us to grow, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to embrace our true selves. Instead of resisting it, allow yourself to feel it, understand it, and learn from it, because in doing so, you will not only find peace, but also a sense of purpose and clarity that will transform your life. The pain we experience in our darkest moments is, paradoxically, the first step toward a deeper connection with ourselves. In those moments when everything seems to be falling apart, something within us begins to emerge, our authenticity. Jung believed that pain forces us to strip away the masks we wear to fit into the world and confront our true essence. And though that can be terrifying, it is also profoundly liberating. Think about the times in your life when you felt like you couldn't go on, when the weight of your problems seemed unbearable. What was it that allowed you to overcome that phase? Perhaps it was the need to find purpose, or maybe a moment of introspection that revealed something new about yourself. Jung teaches us that these crises are not coincidences, but a kind of initiation. It is as if the universe or our own psyche were testing us, not to destroy us, but to transform us. This process of transformation has a name in Jungian psychology: individuation. It is the journey toward becoming who we truly are by integrating both our shadows and our light, accepting not only our virtues but also our flaws. And here lies the key point. You cannot reach this state without going through pain. Jung used to say that gold is in the shadow. This means that the answers we seek, the peace we long for, are hidden within those aspects of ourselves that we tend to avoid. It is natural to want to escape from pain, to look for distractions or quick fixes, but these only prolong our suffering. Jung encourages us to do something radically different, to face it, not as a victim, but as an explorer ready to uncover the hidden treasures within. Because whether you believe it or not, every wound you carry holds a lesson, a piece of wisdom that can change the way you see life. And when you begin to explore your pain, something surprising happens. You realize you are not alone. Suffering is a universal human experience. At some point, we have all faced loss, failure, or fear. And in that connection with others, we find incredible strength. Because when we share our stories, our struggles, and our victories, we come to see that we are far more resilient than we ever imagined. You might be thinking, this sounds good, but how do I do it? How do I confront something I've been avoiding for so long? Jung offers us a guide. The first step is to listen. Listen to your body, your emotions, and your thoughts. When something hurts, whether physically or emotionally, it is a signal. Instead of ignoring it, stop and ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? What part of me needs attention or healing? The next step is acceptance. Accepting does not mean resigning yourself. It means acknowledging what you feel without judgment. Jung said, what you resist persists, and nothing could be truer when it comes to pain. The more we try to suppress it, the more it manifests in our lives in ways we don't understand. But when we accept it, when we give it space to exist, it begins to lose its power over us. And then comes integration. This is the moment when we begin to transform pain into something meaningful. It can be through writing, art, meditation, or even just talking to someone we trust. The important thing is to find a way to give voice to what we carry inside, to allow those emotions to flow instead of being trapped in them. Through this process, you will discover something extraordinary. Pain does not define you. It is part of your story, but it is not the whole story. And the more you work to understand and integrate it, the clearer your purpose becomes. Jung believed that each of us has a unique calling, a purpose that is deeply connected to our life experiences. And often, it is through pain that we find the clues to discovering it. But this journey is not something you have to walk alone. In Jung's philosophy, personal growth always happens in relation to others. Whether it is a friend, a therapist, or even a community like this one, surrounding yourself with people who support and inspire you is essential. Because while inner work is a personal journey, the connections we build with others help keep us on the path. And as you immerse yourself in the journey of facing your pain, a powerful truth emerges. Pain does not only transform you, it also changes the way you relate to the world. Carl Jung firmly believed that the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. In other words, our relationships, decisions, and experiences are deeply influenced by how we manage our internal emotions, including suffering. Imagine, for a moment, what it would be like to live without fear of pain, not because it doesn't exist, but because you have learned to face it and use it as a tool for your growth. Jung described this state as a balance between consciousness and the unconscious, a dance where both work together instead of being in conflict. When we achieve this balance, our lives begin to align in ways that once seemed impossible. However, this process is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you've made progress, only to encounter a challenge that seems to pull you away from your center. It is important to remember that these setbacks are not failures but part of the journey. Jung used to say that true progress often comes in spirals. You revisit old wounds, but from a place of greater understanding and strength. One of Jung's most transformative concepts is that of the shadow. We all have one, that part of ourselves we would rather not see. It can include fears, insecurities, or aspects of our personality that we have repressed because they do not fit the image we want to project to the world. But here's the secret. The more you deny your shadow, the more control it has over you. It's like trying to cover a volcano with a weak lid. Eventually, the pressure will rise to the surface. Accepting your shadow is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of courage. It means looking in the mirror with honesty and compassion, recognizing both your light and your darkness. Because, as Jung taught, only by integrating our shadow can we become whole beings. And it is in this integration that we find inner peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because we are no longer at war with ourselves. As you begin working with your shadow, you will notice subtle but powerful changes in your life. Perhaps you'll realize that you no longer react the same way to certain situations or people. Maybe you'll feel that your relationships become more authentic, less burdened by expectations or resentments. This is no coincidence. It is the result of freeing the parts of yourself that you once kept repressed. A powerful example of this is how we approach personal relationships. Often, our relationships reflect our internal wounds. If we have not healed certain parts of ourselves, those wounds are likely to manifest in our interactions with others. But when we begin to heal, we also begin to attract relationships that are more aligned with our truth. This does not mean that there will never be conflicts, but that we will have the clarity and strength to handle them from a place of love and authenticity. Another key aspect of this work is learning to let go. Jung believed that one of the greatest sources of human suffering is our resistance to change. We cling to relationships, situations, or beliefs that no longer serve us because we fear the unknown. But in that clinging, we only prolong our pain. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting that, by releasing what no longer resonates with you, you are making space for something better. Imagine you are holding a heavy object in each hand. As time passes, the weight begins to wear you down, yet you hesitate to release it because you fear the unknown. You don't know what will happen next, so you cling to what is familiar, even if it burdens you. Now, imagine that by letting go, your hands become free to grasp something new, something lighter, something far more meaningful. This is how the process of letting go works in our lives. And when we learn to release what no longer serves us, we also learn to trust ourselves, our intuition, and the natural flow of life. Jung described this trust as a connection to something greater, a profound sense of purpose that transcends ego and unites us with the vastness of the universe. But this connection is not something you can seek externally. It is cultivated from within through deep inner work. The beauty of this process is that the more you align with yourself, the more the world around you aligns with you. Opportunities begin to unfold. The right people enter your life, and most importantly, you discover an inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a peace that arises from knowing who you truly are and living in harmony with that truth. Real transformation begins the moment you decide to apply everything you have learned about yourself in your daily life. Carl Jung showed us that knowledge has no real value unless it is translated into action. This is where inner work finds its highest expression, in the choices you make, the relationships you build, and the way you confront the challenges of everyday life. Imagine that every interaction, every obstacle, every moment is an opportunity to practice this newfound connection with yourself. You are no longer reacting from a place of fear or insecurity. You are acting from a place of authenticity and clarity. This shift does not happen overnight. But over time, you'll begin to notice that your life transforms in ways that once seemed impossible. One of the most crucial steps in this journey is developing a conscious relationship with your emotions. Jung said that emotions are the language of the unconscious, and learning to listen to them is essential for living fully. The next time you feel sadness, anger, or fear, instead of suppressing these emotions, pause and ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? What need or unresolved wound lies beneath this feeling? When you start exploring your emotions in this way, you realize they are not your enemies. They are allies guiding you toward deeper self-understanding. Perhaps the anger you feel is simply a signal that you need to establish firmer boundaries in your relationships. Or maybe the sadness is a reminder that there is something you need to release in order to move forward. Every emotion has a purpose, and learning to honor that purpose is an act of self-love. Another key aspect of this path is paying attention to synchronicities. Jung coined this term to describe those meaningful coincidences that seem to occur at just the right moment. Maybe you think about someone and suddenly they call you, or you come across a book that provides the exact answer to a question you have been contemplating. These experiences are not mere chance. They are signs that you are aligned with your purpose and your truth. However, in order to recognize these synchronicities, you must be present. We live in a world that constantly distracts us with external noise, but the true power of synchronicities only reveals itself when you are connected to yourself. Dedicate time to introspection, to meditation, or simply to silence. It is in these moments of stillness that answers often emerge. As you work on yourself, it is also crucial to surround yourself with people who support your growth. Jung emphasized that our relationships act as mirrors of our inner state. If you find yourself surrounded by people who constantly drain your energy or make you feel inadequate, it is time to ask yourself what you are allowing into your life. This is not about blaming others, but about reflecting on why you attract certain dynamics and how you can change them. At the same time, seek connections that inspire you, that challenge you to become the best version of yourself. These relationships won't always be comfortable, but they will be authentic. And in that authenticity, you will find a sense of belonging that goes beyond appearances. Finally, never underestimate the power of small steps. Transformation can sometimes feel overwhelming, as if you need to change everything all at once. But Jung taught us that deep change happens in the details. It is in those small daily decisions. Choose to act from love instead of fear, where you truly transform your life. For example, the next time you face a difficult situation, instead of reacting automatically, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what part of me is being triggered? How can I respond from a more conscious place? Or when you feel consumed by stress, take a few minutes to breathe deeply and reconnect with yourself. These small acts of presence have a cumulative impact that can change your life. The path to inner peace and fulfillment is not easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. Every step you take not only brings you closer to your truth, but also inspires others to find theirs. Because, as Jung reminded us, when we heal our own wounds, we also contribute to the healing of the world around us. When you choose to embrace your pain as a teacher, you realize that it is not an obstacle, but a bridge to your true self. Carl Jung showed us that suffering, no matter how difficult, has a purpose: to open our eyes to our essence and allow us to live with greater authenticity. This journey is not simple, but every step you take is an affirmation of your inner strength and your commitment to a fuller, more meaningful life. By learning to integrate your shadows, to listen to the signals from your unconscious, and to trust the synchronicities that appear along your path, you become someone who lives in harmony with their truth. That inner peace you once longed for is no longer a distant ideal. It is a tangible experience that you create from within. And in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but also the world around you. Remember, change begins with you. Every action, every conscious decision you make has the power to impact those around you. When you live from your authenticity, you inspire others to do the same. That is the magic of this process. Not only do you free yourself, but you also open the door for others to find their own path to peace and fulfillment. Now is your moment to act. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to do something powerful. Share this video with someone who might need it. Maybe you know someone going through a difficult time, struggling with their shadow, or seeking a deeper connection with themselves. By sharing this content, you are not only helping that person, but also contributing to the creation of a community of transformation and support. Leave a comment below. Tell me which part of this message touched your heart or how you plan to apply these teachings in your life. Your words have the power to inspire others who read them and strengthen this network of people committed to personal growth. And don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't done it yet, this is just the beginning of a journey filled with deep reflections, valuable lessons, and powerful tools to transform your life. By activating the notification bell, you ensure that you won't miss any of the upcoming videos, where we will continue to explore these topics in even greater depth. Every time you engage with this content, you help it reach more people. People like you, who are searching for answers and guidance on their path. Remember, life is not about escaping pain, but about finding within it the key to your transformation. You have the power to change your reality. Do it now. Start today. Because the world needs more authentic, courageous individuals who are willing to live in alignment with their truth. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being part of this community. Together, we are creating something truly extraordinary. I'll see you in the next video, and never forget, change begins with you. Until next time.
Have you ever wondered how many voices quietly live within you? Have you ever stopped to think if your fears truly belong to you, or if you inherited them from ghosts that never found rest? And what if I told you that while you pretend to be in control, there is an ancient, shadowy force shaping every one of your sighs? Until you bring the unconscious into awareness, it will guide your life, and you will call it fate. No matter how rational, successful, or enlightened you think you are, behind every decision, impulse, or doubt lies a living labyrinth, a web of unchallenged fears and repressed desires. That labyrinth watches you, gently mocking you, as you live under the illusion of control. You walk with conviction. You think you know yourself, but deep within, something ancient slumbers. A leviathan, a symbol of everything hidden. Versions of yourself you silenced to fit in. It's not a monster, it's your shadow, formed by what you never allowed yourself to feel, by what you entered to be accepted. And today, you are invited not to destroy it, but to see it, to cross the mirror you always avoided, because there dwells not only fear, but also power. That whisper you feel in the silences doesn't want you to change. It wants you to remember, to return to the parts of yourself you hid, the rage, the tenderness, the creativity, the pain, the child, the warrior, the lover. This isn't a call to be someone else. It's a call to be whole. Because true freedom isn't the absence of fear, but rather deciding, without fear, ruling you. It's living with an open heart, without acting, without running, without pretending. It's stopping surviving, and finally, starting to live. Carl Jung used to say, the worst prison is the one no one sees, and that's exactly where you live. Look at your routine. How many choices were truly yours? How many fears were passed down through voices from the past? How many loves did you sabotage because your mind needed to prove you weren't worthy of being loved? You're not in control of any of that. Your unconscious is the one pulling the strings while you work, smile, kiss, make promises. Something behind your gaze moves your hands like you're a puppet. It's a hungry ghost. It feeds on everything you suppress just to be accepted. On the screams swallowed in childhood, on the guilt buried in adolescence, on the desires murdered in the name of a reputation. Jung called it the shadow. But before you get there, you need to accept a simple truth. You are not who you think you are. The person you display online, the one who meets deadlines, smiles in pictures, that's only the surface. A social mask hiding a wild territory. Within that hidden territory live your rage, your jealousy, your childish pride, even fantasies you dare not admit. That's why you repeat cycles, cling to what hurts, and stumble over the same mistakes. because the script isn't in your conscious mind. It's written in the shadows. Many won't bear to hear this. It's easier to blame fate, family, the government, even God. More comfortable to say, that's just the way I am, even if that I is just a poorly rehearsed role. Scratch the surface, and chaos appears. And deep down, a part of you knows it. That's why you run away. That's why you fill yourself with distractions. That's why silence scares you more than noise. Jung understood that fear. He knew that facing the monster demands the courage of someone who'd rather die unknown than be reborn, torn apart from within. Do you think you control your fits of rage, your impulses, your shame? You don't. These demons are older than your last name. They're ancient. They live in the collective unconscious that breathes through each of us. To ignore this is to sleepwalk through life. And someone who sleeps doesn't choose, only repeats. They think they're free, while calling destiny what is actually psychic programming. Look at your choices. How many would you make if you didn't need to please? If you weren't afraid to lose? If you didn't carry that childhood fear of being rejected like a hidden wound? Breathe. Feel the lump rising in your throat. That's your mind trying to drown out what I'm telling you. But it's already too late. Once this truth is heard, it burns inside. No matter how many self-help books you stack on top, it stays. And it will grow. Jung didn't want to soothe you. He wanted to rip you open, so light could enter through the cracks. He wanted to show you that behind the mask lives hell, but also the key to escape it. Accepting this is the beginning. It's opening the basement door. It's breathing in the mold of those parts of yourself you buried in shame. Maybe it hurts. It will hurt. But there's no other way out. You're not who you think you are. You're much uglier, much more beautiful, much freer if you dare to face it. Take a deep breath. Look around. Everything binding you is inside, and so is the key. You tell yourself you're good, civilized, reasonable, polite, but deep down, you know that's not all you are. But deep down, you know that's not all you are. Behind the smile, a starving beast breathes. Carl Jung gave it a name, the shadow. The shadow isn't a pretty metaphor to post with uplifting quotes. It's real. It bites. It rules your urges when you pretend they don't exist. It's all the things you swept under the rug to be accepted. Anger, envy, greed, lust, cowardice, lies. As a child, you were taught feeling those was ugly, worse, that admitting them was unforgivable. So you learned to smile, to swallow it all, to repress it. But what's unseen rots. And what rots doesn't die. The shadow thrives in the dark, whispering commands while you sleep. How many times have you judged someone with secret hate? How many times have you wanted a friend to fail? How many times have you enjoyed a cruel piece of gossip? Do you think you're innocent? You're not. No one is. Jung wrote, "We all carry a shadow." The less it's integrated into our conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. You can deny it. Say, "I'm not like that." But denial leads to projection. You start seeing monsters outside because you can't bear to face the ones inside you. The envy you accuse others of is only a mirror of your own. The betrayal you fear so much is the whisper of your buried urge to betray. The cruelty you condemn in others is just the edge of your denied sadistic pleasure. You pretend to be in control, but with every burst of anger, every impulsive lie, every cheap excuse, the shadow laughs at you. It loves to wear the mask of morality. It makes you believe you're better than everyone else, and that illusion is its trap. The worst prisoner is the one who doesn't realize they're imprisoned. You think you're free because you think you're good. But goodness without a shadow doesn't exist. Whoever ignores their darkness lives under its rule. The shadow shows up in the relationships you destroy, in the chances you ruin, in the friendships you poison with jealousy disguised as care, in the laziness that stalls your purpose. You say, "This is just who I am. It's not my fault." But it is. You're responsible, because turning away from the shadow is a choice, and every choice comes with a cost. As long as you pretend not to see it, it directs your every step. Jung said, there's only one way. Face it. Smell the rot, feel the fire, call the monster by its name. Not to kill it, but to tame it. The shadow won't vanish, it must be embraced. When you accept your anger, it becomes strength. When you accept your envy, it transforms into healthy ambition. When you accept your lust, it becomes guiltless pleasure. But as long as you fake purity, you stay a captive, trapped in a rotting cycle of denial and outbursts. Want to stop suffering? Then go to the basement, turn on the light, speak with the thing you feared all your life. It's not pretty, not gentle, but it's human. Those who don't know their shadow are a danger to themselves and others. Those who do carry a loaded weapon, but know where to aim it. Jung never promised peace. He promised wholeness. And wholeness hurts more than goodness, but it's the only path to freedom. Now breathe. Smell the damp scent of your mental basement. It's always been there. But today, for the first time, you have the courage to enter. And I'm here, in the dark, waiting for you to finally face the monster you've been silently feeding. What is perfection? Just a disguise for pretending to be good. He looked deep into the abyss of the human soul and saw a brutal truth. You're not truly alive if you're still running from your own darkness. That's why he didn't invent a therapy to fix you. He carved a path meant to tear you apart. He called it individuation. To individuate isn't to become your best version. It's not about repeating shallow motivational quotes. It's not about manifesting abundance while smiling at yourself in the mirror. Individuation is the death of who you think you are and the birth of who you actually are. Sound poetic? It's not. It's a bloody birth, because it forces you to face all you've hidden from yourself. The ego shouts, "This is who I am. I know myself." But the psyche just laughs. You know nothing. Individuation means confronting every part you've denied, integrating your shadow, making peace with opposites, admitting that you are capable of love, yes, but also of hate, of courage, but also of cowardice. It's about no longer being a fragment, but becoming whole. Wholeness is not purity. It's the radical acceptance that within you live both angels and demons, and each one must have its rightful place. Those who refuse to do this live in constant conflict with themselves. They lash out at others. They destroy what they touch. They feel empty, even when surrounded by love. Jung said that individuation is like walking through a dark forest with no path. Each tree is an old trauma. Each shadow, a guilt you inherited. Each noise, a desire you wish you never felt. You'll get lost. You'll want to turn back. But there is no return for those who begin to see themselves naked. Most people quit. They pretend not to hear the forest calling. They return to the comfort of personality. They live on the surface, numb. But the ones who persist cross. And on the other side, they find something that can't be taken away. Integrity. Integrity is living without fear of contradiction. It's looking in the mirror and not feeling ashamed of the monster behind your eyes. It's being loyal to yourself, even when the world demands that you lie. Individuation isn't a diploma. It's not a permanent state. It's a process. It lasts a lifetime. It unfolds in crisis, in grief, in collapse, in endings that tear your flesh but set your soul free. Each loss tears off a piece of the ego and makes space for something real to grow. You don't need to rush, but you do need courage. The courage to sit still in the middle of the storm and say, I accept this. I accept my anger. I accept my emptiness. I accept my fear of rejection. I accept that I can be kind, but also harsh, not to glorify it, but to stop lying to myself. This is rebirth. Not a miracle, but the result of daily effort. Those who dare to live this way lose the illusion of perfection, but gain something far more powerful, the freedom to be whole. It's not a path for everyone. Few can endure the pain of shedding the mask, but those who do will never live on their knees again. Just breathe and listen to what silence is trying to say. Deep within, your soul is whispering, this is what I've always longed for. Jung understood this, and now, so do you. You say you want freedom. Freedom from fear, from your past, from those who hurt you. But freedom isn't a gift, it's a cost. Carl Jung always knew. Most people would rather live in chains than tear off their own skin. True freedom isn't about having no rules. It's about having no inner lies. As long as you pretend to be someone you're not, you live inside a disguised prison. As long as you blame others, you stay shackled to your wounds. As long as you pretend it doesn't hurt, you bleed in silence. Freedom isn't born of excuses. It begins the moment you choose to see what you've always hidden. When you stop pointing fingers. When you say, without masks, this is me too. You want to be free? Then stop running. No one runs from themselves forever. Eventually, the psyche collects, through crisis, through a breakdown, through a sudden illness. It's the soul knocking on the door you've spent your life avoiding. You can ignore it. Many people do. They go to doctors, take pills, do breathing exercises, smile for photos, but inside, they're still rotting. Because the pain doesn't come from the world. It comes from the illusion that we're only made of light, from believing everything must be controlled. Freedom begins when you sit in the prison of your fear and stare your monster right in the face. No excuses, no cliches, no desire to walk out as a victim. It's brutal, it's lonely, it's humiliating for the ego, but it's the only door that leads out. Whoever finds the strength to open that door pays a price. They lose their masks. They lose fake relationships. They lose the comfort of being a victim. They lose the illusion of control. But they gain the one thing no one can ever take away, the ownership of their soul. Do you know how many truly live like this? Very few. Most pretend, smile, go to therapy just to learn how to function again, and then go back to pretending. Jung didn't want you to be functional. He wanted you to be whole. He wanted you to be free. Free to bleed when it hurts, to scream when it's unjust, to love without needing permission. Freedom doesn't go hand in hand with fear. That's why so many trade it for comfortable chains. They call it stability. They call it routine. They call it, this is just who I am. But that's not who you are. You are far more than that. But to become who you truly are, you'll have to kill the old versions of yourself that no longer serve you. You'll need to hold a funeral for the persona you've carried for decades. You'll have to hear the cry of your shadow and embrace every part of who you are. On the other side, there's no blue sky or rainbow. There's a path. You'll walk it with wounded feet. You'll bleed a little more, but for the first time, every single step is truly yours. No one else is writing your story anymore. Breathe. Feel the sting of truth cutting through your throat. It hurts, but it purifies. Now you must choose. Will you return to your cell, or will you walk through the door and pay the price of owning yourself? Carl Jung gave you the map. I only held your hand to this point. From here on, it's just you and the echo of your soul crying out to be free. You've made it this far. You read each word like someone uncovering a forbidden secret, maybe hoping for a quick cure, a formula, a fix for the fire in your chest. I'm sorry. There is no cure without loss, no freedom without symbolic death. You're no longer the same person who began listening to this voice in your mind. Carl Jung never promised salvation. He promised awareness. And awareness isn't light. It's heavy. It crushes. Because once you know, you can no longer blame the world. You can't lie to your reflection. You can't skim through life when it's asking you to dive deep. You were trained to escape. When pain knocks, you open the fridge. When anxiety screams, you play another show. When fear itches, you smile and say you're fine. You're not, but you could be if you're willing to keep descending. Because the psyche has no bottom. The unconscious is a pit that mocks your fear of heights. Are you ready to dig deeper? To return for the child you left crying in that dark room? To forgive the one who hurt you and the one you pretend you didn't hurt too? Being human is messy, contradictory, chaos. Freedom isn't about perfection. It's about being honest with your flaws. The one who lies to themselves creates monsters that feast on their chances. But the one who accepts themselves wholly finds the courage to unlock doors shut for generations. You carry ghosts from your parents, your grandparents, echoes that whisper through your mind like a wounded lineage calling out. Jung called it the collective unconscious. That's where the oldest part of you lives, and also the keys to who you might become. Maybe you ask, how do I get out of this? But let me ask you, who told you that you have to get out? You don't escape the abyss. You become part of it. You sink into it, all the way down. And instead of being destroyed, you gather strength from the same darkness that used to break you. From this point on, every decision has gravity. Every relationship reveals more than you're ready to see. Every dream brings messages your ego tries to erase. You won't sleep peacefully again. And that's okay. Too much peace is numbness. Disturbance means you're alive. Jung didn't want you happy like a butter commercial. He wanted you human. And that's much deeper. Beyond the abyss, what's left of you is wilder, more honest, more alone too. But it's a clean solitude with no lies, a fertile silence where your soul can finally speak. Listen, it doesn't shout, it whispers. In the sleepless nights, in the tear that slips from nowhere, in the quiet voice of intuition that tells you who stays, who leaves, and who never comes back. It's too late now to pretend. The maze has opened, and you've seen the Minotaur living inside your chest. If you want to sleep peacefully again, forget all of this. Pretend it was just another random video, another story that has nothing to do with you. Just another video, another story that doesn't belong to you. But if something inside you still burns, even now, then welcome. You've just been reborn, and no one can bury someone who has already learned to live with their own darkness. Now that you've walked through every shadowed hallway of your mind with me, breathe. Feel what was left behind, silent, buried deep in your chest. It might ache. That's how it is. It's the cost of being awake. Jung wouldn't take that pain away. And I can't either. But I can remind you of something almost no one says. You are not alone in this. You never were. As you listened, some forgotten, broken, hungry part of you began to wake up. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It'll ask for change. It will demand that you stop repeating old patterns. Listen to that part. Feed it with truth, with silence, with courage. From today forward, every pain that comes is not punishment. It's a sign that you refuse to keep living asleep. And that, my friend, is real freedom. You could have picked any shallow video with pretty lies to soothe your tired mind. But you stayed. You stayed until the end. I deeply respect anyone brave enough to face what hurts. Let me tell you something personal. I hid behind masks too. I betrayed myself. I feared opening the very door I've now helped you push wide open. It was lonely, but it was real. Thank you for sharing this immersion with me. May your soul never again settle for scraps of superficiality. May your shadow, now seen, no longer scream to be heard. And may the next time silence visits, you dare to sit beside it like an old friend. Now do this. Take a deep breath and prove you're not just another curious passerby. Let me know in the comments what part of you screamed the loudest during this video. Tell me without fear. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now, because I promise to continue whispering truths that few dare to speak. Share this video with whoever needs to hear it. Sometimes a whisper can ignite a light in the midst of the abyss. It's your choice. Ignore it all or dive right in. The decision is yours. From here, I remain in the darkness, waiting for you. Each of us carries within a silent dialogue, a continuous conversation between the visible aspects of our personality and those we prefer to keep hidden. Carl Jung dedicated his life to exploring this inner dialogue, helping us understand that anxiety, which so many of us struggle with, is not an enemy, but rather a guide. It is a signal, a profound invitation to look deeper into ourselves. What we often experience as anxiety may, in reality, be our psyche's way of calling us to break free from the superficial and begin the journey toward discovering our true authenticity. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you felt that tight knot in your stomach, that weight on your chest that seems impossible to explain? Jung taught us that these moments of unease are not signs of weakness or failure. They are messages, signals that something within us is out of balance. Instead of running from these sensations, Jung encourages us to pause and listen, to truly hear what our soul is trying to communicate. Every emotion we suppress, every fear we ignore, does not disappear. Instead, it remains within us, searching for a way to emerge, to be acknowledged. Imagine carrying an invisible backpack filled with unresolved experiences, thoughts, and emotions. Over time, this burden grows heavier, influencing not only how we feel, but also shaping how we perceive the world around us. According to Jung, anxiety is much like this extra weight in our backpack. It serves as a constant reminder that there is something we need to release or integrate in order to move forward. Have you ever noticed how, in life's most challenging moments, you find yourself reflecting on who you truly are? This is the essence of Jung's message. These moments of crisis are not punishments, they are opportunities. They are the unconscious mind's way of pushing us toward change, toward personal growth. When we ignore these calls, when we try to maintain appearances or conform to external expectations that do not align with our true nature, the discomfort only intensifies. It is as if our psyche is shouting, "Stop! Pay attention! something within you needs to be addressed. One of Jung's most profound teachings is that within each of us exists an ongoing conflict between the self we present to the world and the self we truly are. The mask we wear, the version of ourselves that we project to gain acceptance and fit in, can distance us from our true nature. This is where the concept of the shadow comes in, one of Jung's most fascinating contributions to psychology. The shadow represents the aspects of ourselves that we have chosen to ignore or deny because they do not fit the image we wish to project. But here's the paradox. No matter how much we try to suppress our shadow, it always finds a way to manifest itself. Sometimes it appears as anxiety. Other times, it reveals itself in repetitive patterns within our relationships or in the conflicts we continually face with others. The shadow functions as a mirror, reflecting back to us the parts of ourselves we need to integrate in order to feel whole. And the more we reject it, the more it haunts us. At this point, we must make a choice. We can continue to ignore the signals, allowing anxiety and discomfort to build up, or we can face them with courage. Confronting our shadow does not mean fighting against it. Instead, it means embracing it, understanding it, and allowing it to teach us what we need to learn. Jung tells us that by integrating our shadow, we unlock an immense source of power and creativity. What once felt like a burden transforms into a tool for growth and self-discovery. When we finally decide to face our anxiety and our shadow, something truly transformative begins to happen. We uncover hidden aspects of ourselves, parts we never fully acknowledged. Jung described this process as individuation, the journey toward wholeness, in which we integrate all aspects of our psyche, both the light and the dark. It is through this journey that we come to understand a powerful truth. Anxiety is not our enemy. It is, in fact, an ally, a force that pushes us toward growth and self-realization. Imagine yourself sailing across a turbulent ocean. The waves represent your emotions, your fears, your doubts. You can fight against them, exhausting yourself in the struggle. Or you can learn to observe them, to understand their rhythm, and to move with them instead of against them. Jung invites us to do precisely this, to observe our emotions without judgment, to allow ourselves to feel and to recognize what they are trying to tell us. No matter how uncomfortable anxiety may be, it serves a purpose. It is like an alarm sounding in the background of our lives, warning us that something needs to change. Perhaps it's a relationship that no longer serves us, a job that is misaligned with our values, or even deeply ingrained beliefs that we inherited but no longer resonate with who we are becoming. Listening to this alarm requires courage. It often means making difficult decisions, stepping into the unknown, and embracing discomfort. But within that discomfort lies the potential for transformation. Because in the end, the greatest breakthroughs in life often arise from the moments when we finally stop running and start listening. Carl Jung also spoke about the importance of symbols and dreams in this process. Our unconscious, the hidden part of our mind that stores our deepest desires, communicates with us through images and symbols. Have you ever had recurring dreams that feel strange or even unsettling? According to Jung, these dreams are messages from your unconscious, inviting you to explore aspects of yourself that you may have been ignoring. For example, dreaming that you are lost in a dense forest might symbolize a sense of disconnection from yourself or your purpose. Or perhaps you dream of a wild animal chasing you, which could represent a repressed fear or desire. These symbols are not random. They serve as guides, helping you understand yourself more deeply and make decisions that align with your true essence. The power of these symbols does not lie in interpreting them literally, but in allowing them to awaken something within you. It's as if each symbol were a key, unlocking a door to your unconscious, revealing parts of yourself that need to be acknowledged. And when you start paying attention to these messages, something remarkable happens. Your anxiety begins to transform. It shifts into clarity, becoming a compass that guides you toward a more authentic life. On this journey, it is also essential to question the stories we tell ourselves. Jung believed that many of the narratives that play repeatedly in our minds stem from conditioning and expectations we have internalized without questioning them. Maybe you've told yourself that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve happiness, or that success is something only others can achieve. These beliefs, though seemingly harmless, have a profound impact on how we perceive the world and the choices we make. In this context, anxiety can be seen as resistance to these limiting stories, as if a part of you knows they are not true and is struggling to break free from them. When you choose to listen to that part of yourself, when you decide to question those beliefs and replace them with ones that are more aligned with your truth, you begin to experience a profound shift. You no longer feel trapped in an endless cycle. Instead, you start to see possibilities where once there were only limitations. Jung reminds us that this process is not linear. There will be days when you feel deeply connected to yourself, and others when fear and doubt return. And that's okay. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is an ongoing journey, a dance between chaos and order. The important thing is to keep moving forward, trusting that each step, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to your true self. As you progress on this path of self-discovery, it is crucial to recognize that anxiety is not just a messenger, but also a catalyst. It is the fire that, though uncomfortable, has the potential to forge a more authentic version of yourself. Carl Jung taught that we cannot transform what we are not willing to face. That is why the first step to using anxiety as a tool for transformation is to learn to be present with it instead of running away from it. Think of anxiety as an unexpected guest knocking at your door. You can ignore it, pretend it's not there, or even try to push it away, but until you invite it in and listen to what it has to say, it will keep knocking. This is the approach Jung proposed. Facing our emotions, no matter how uncomfortable, with curiosity instead of judgment. How can you begin this process? One of the most effective methods is through conscious introspection. Dedicate a few minutes each day to sitting in silence, closing your eyes, and allowing yourself to feel whatever is present within you. This is not about analyzing or finding immediate solutions, but simply being with your emotions as they are. Perhaps you feel a knot in your stomach, a weight on your chest, or a general sense of unease. Observe these sensations and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to show me? Carl Jung believed that when we allow ourselves to truly listen to our emotions, we uncover messages that go far beyond the surface. Emotions are not mere reactions. They are signals, guiding us toward deeper self-awareness. For instance, the anxiety you feel before making an important decision might not just be nervousness. It could be your unconscious mind trying to tell you that this choice is not in alignment with your core values. Similarly, that occasional sense of emptiness that washes over you might not just be random sadness. It could be an invitation to reconnect with yourself and with what truly matters in your life. Beyond introspection, another powerful tool for self-discovery is reflective writing. Taking time to write about your emotions, fears, and recurring thoughts can be profoundly revealing. Do it without censorship. Let your words flow freely, without judgment or hesitation. This practice is not just about venting emotions. It allows you to observe patterns in your thoughts, identify hidden beliefs, and understand what truly drives your inner conflicts. For example, through this exercise, you might realize that your anxiety is rooted in a deep-seated fear of not being enough, or perhaps in a lingering sense of disconnection from your dreams and aspirations. These discoveries, though sometimes painful, are the first step toward transformation. As Jung famously said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms you." When you choose to embrace what emerges from within, you begin reclaiming your personal power. An essential aspect of this journey is learning to work with your shadow. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is a part of you that longs to be acknowledged and understood. Jung proposed that integrating the shadow not only frees us from anxiety, but also unlocks an immense wellspring of creative potential. The energy you once used to suppress aspects of yourself can now be redirected toward your goals, passions, and true purpose. Imagine, for instance, that you have repressed your creative side because, at some point, someone made you believe that you weren't talented enough. That abandoned part of you, pushed into the shadows, might now manifest as frustration, insecurity, or even a persistent feeling of being stuck in life. But when you confront that limiting belief, when you allow yourself to explore creativity without fear of judgment, you tap into a source of energy and fulfillment that you may have never known existed. This process of integration doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, compassion, and a continuous commitment to yourself. But every small step you take, every moment you choose to face your fears instead of running from them, brings you closer to your true self. One of the most fascinating aspects of anxiety, according to Carl Jung, is its deep connection with our relationships. Jung believed that our interactions with others act as mirrors, reflecting hidden aspects of ourselves, things we may not want to see or acknowledge. This becomes especially evident in our closest relationships, romantic partners, family, and deep friendships, where our shadows tend to emerge with the most intensity. For example, have you ever noticed that certain people or situations trigger strong emotional reactions in you, such as anger, insecurity, or jealousy? Rather than blaming others or trying to change external circumstances, consider this. What if these reactions are revealing something about yourself that you haven't yet confronted? Carl Jung suggested that these reactions are an opportunity to reflect on what is happening within you. What part of you is responding so intensely? Is it an old wound from the past that still needs healing? Is it a limiting belief that you are projecting onto someone else? In this context, anxiety can serve as a compass, pointing toward the aspects of our relationships that require transformation. Perhaps you realize that you are maintaining connections that no longer resonate with you, relationships that drain you instead of uplifting you. Or maybe you discover that, in an attempt to protect yourself from potential hurt, you have built emotional barriers that prevent you from experiencing true intimacy. The process of healing these dynamics begins with honesty. Ask yourself, am I being truly authentic in my relationships? Am I allowing others to see who I really am, with all my strengths and vulnerabilities? Jung emphasized that genuine connection can only exist when we stop wearing masks and allow ourselves to be seen for who we truly are. This can be terrifying, but it is also deeply liberating. Moreover, Jung spoke about synchronicity as a phenomenon that manifests when we are in harmony with ourselves. Synchronicity is that profound sense that everything is falling into place, as if the universe itself is conspiring in your favor. Perhaps you have experienced moments when everything seemed to flow effortlessly, meeting the right person at the right time, or having an unexpected opportunity arise just when you needed it most. The fascinating thing about synchronicity is that it does not happen by mere chance. According to Jung, it is the result of aligning our inner world with our external actions. When you listen to your anxiety, integrate your shadow, and make choices that reflect your deepest truth, you create a state of coherence that manifests in the world around you. However, reaching this state requires surrendering control and trusting the process. Often, anxiety arises when we try to force outcomes or cling to things that no longer serve us. But Jung reminds us that true power lies in our ability to let go of the unknown, trusting that the path we are walking will lead us exactly where we need to be. A practical example of this is learning to release relationships or situations that no longer align with your essence. Perhaps you fear leaving behind something familiar, even if you know it no longer makes you happy. This fear is natural, but Jung encourages us to see it as an opportunity for growth. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means creating space for something new, something more in harmony with your authentic self. Furthermore, working with anxiety and the shadow also transforms your relationship with yourself. You begin to develop a deeper connection with your intuition, that inner voice that has always been there, but is often drowned out by external noise. Your intuition is not just a fleeting feeling. It is a powerful guide that helps you make decisions from a place of clarity and authenticity. When you trust your intuition, you start to notice that the universe's signs become more evident. Perhaps you come across a book, overhear a conversation, or even have a dream that seems to provide the exact answer to a question you have been contemplating. These experiences are not mere coincidences. They are examples of how your unconscious mind and the universe work together to guide you toward your true purpose. To bring these ideas into practice, it is crucial to implement strategies that allow you to work intentionally with both your anxiety and your shadow. Carl Jung taught us that transformation does not simply occur through understanding our emotions, but rather through actively integrating them into our daily lives. True self-discovery is not just about recognizing our inner struggles, but about embracing them as part of our growth. In this guide, I will share with you a series of exercises and practical approaches that can help you turn your anxiety into a powerful tool for transformation. When we stop resisting anxiety and instead learn to work with it, it ceases to be a burden and becomes a source of wisdom. 1. Engaging in dialogue with your shadow. One of the most powerful exercises for self-exploration is creating a safe space to engage in a direct conversation with the parts of yourself that you have been repressing. We all have aspects of our psyche that we push aside: fears, insecurities, unresolved emotions, and even traits that we refuse to acknowledge. However, these hidden aspects don't simply disappear. They manifest in our lives in ways we might not recognize. To initiate this dialogue, you can use writing as a tool for self-discovery. Take a notebook and begin writing as if you were speaking directly to your shadow. Ask it questions such as, What do you need from me? Why are you here? What have you been trying to tell me? Don't worry about structure, grammar, or making sense. Just write freely. Let your thoughts flow without censorship. You may be surprised by what emerges. Often, we assume that our shadow exists to sabotage us, but in reality, it is often trying to protect us or teach us something valuable about ourselves. By engaging in this practice regularly, you will begin to notice patterns in the messages your subconscious is trying to communicate. More importantly, this exercise will help you not only understand your emotions, but also diminish the intensity of your anxiety by giving it a space to express itself rather than suppressing it. 2. Mapping your triggers. Another invaluable tool in working with anxiety is learning to recognize the specific patterns or situations that tend to activate it. Anxiety often seems like an uncontrollable force, but in reality, it follows a pattern, one that, once identified, can be worked with consciously. Take a moment to reflect on the last few times you experienced intense anxiety. Ask yourself, what triggered it? Was it a specific interaction, a decision you had to make, a recurring thought, or fear? Once you have identified these triggers, write them down. Then, go a step further. Ask yourself, what underlying beliefs are fueling this reaction? For example, if you feel anxious about expressing your opinions, it may be because deep down, you believe that your voice is not valid or that you will be rejected. These limiting beliefs are often rooted in past experiences, sometimes dating back to childhood. The next step is to challenge these beliefs. Are they truly accurate? Do they define who you are today? By questioning them, you begin to loosen their grip on your psyche. You can then replace them with new affirmations that align more with your authentic self, such as, my opinions are valuable. My voice deserves to be heard. I am allowed to express myself without fear. This process, when practiced consistently, can gradually rewire the way you respond to anxiety-inducing situations, allowing you to move through life with greater confidence and ease. 3. The practice of letting go. Jung spoke about the necessity of releasing what no longer serves us in order to make space for the new. But letting go is not always easy. It requires conscious effort and emotional readiness. Fortunately, there are exercises that can make this process more tangible and effective. One such practice involves visualization. Here's how to do it. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Imagine that you are holding a rope. This rope represents a relationship, a situation, or a belief that is generating anxiety in your life. Observe how you feel as you hold on to it. What emotions arise? Do you feel tension, fear, or resistance? Now visualize yourself slowly releasing the rope. Let it slip through your fingers and watch it drift away. Pay attention to the sensation in your body. Do you feel lighter, more at peace? Repeating this exercise whenever you sense resistance to letting go of something can help train your mind to release attachments more easily. Over time, you will notice that this simple practice aids in reducing accumulated tension and restoring your energy. 4th, meditation and guided visualization. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for connecting with your unconscious mind and reducing anxiety. It allows you to develop a sense of inner peace and clarity even in moments of external chaos. A simple yet effective meditation practice is the following. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Focus on your breath. As you inhale, mentally repeat the phrase, I accept who I am. As you exhale, say to yourself, I release what no longer serves me. Continue this practice for a few minutes, allowing each breath to anchor you in the present moment. Another powerful exercise is guided visualization, where you imagine yourself meeting your shadow in a safe and welcoming space. Picture a peaceful landscape, a forest, a quiet lake, or a serene garden. In this space, envision your shadow approaching you. How does it look? What emotions does it carry? Allow it to communicate with you either through words, images, or feelings. Listen with an open heart, without judgment. By regularly practicing this form of visualization, you will begin to integrate aspects of your psyche that once seemed conflicting or threatening, ultimately reducing their hold over you. 5. Recognizing synchronicity. As we align with our inner truth, life begins to reflect our internal work in external ways. Jung referred to this phenomenon as synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that occur when we are in harmony with our authentic selves. To cultivate this alignment, start paying attention to the signs around you. Keep a journal where you record significant coincidences, such as finding a book on a topic you were just exploring, meeting someone who provides the exact insight you needed, receiving an unexpected message that confirms something you were contemplating. These occurrences are not mere accidents. They are reflections of the internal shifts you are making. By acknowledging and acting upon them, you reinforce your confidence in the process of transformation. Final thoughts. Working with anxiety and the shadow self is not about eliminating them, but rather learning how to integrate them into your life in a way that fosters growth and self-awareness. These exercises are not meant to be one-time practices, but ongoing tools that you can return to whenever needed. The more you embrace your inner world, both its light and its darkness, the more empowered and free you will become. Transformation is not about erasing parts of yourself, but about embracing them with compassion and curiosity. When you do this, anxiety ceases to be an enemy and instead becomes a guide, leading you toward a deeper and more authentic version of yourself. Creating energetic boundaries. Anxiety often arises when we allow our energy to be drained by relationships, commitments, or situations that do not align with our true selves. Many times, we spread ourselves too thin, saying yes when we truly want to say no, prioritizing the needs and expectations of others over our own well-being. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if we saw setting boundaries not as an act of rejection, but as an act of self-love? Establishing clear energetic boundaries is not about conflict or confrontation. It is about honoring your essence. It means recognizing when something does not resonate with you and having the courage to step away. It means prioritizing the people, activities, and experiences that nourish you instead of those that drain you. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is a powerful declaration of self-respect. The moment you begin to implement healthy limits, you will notice a profound shift. Your anxiety will begin to subside, and your clarity will expand. As you walk this path of self-discovery, remember that anxiety is not an insurmountable obstacle. It is a message, a powerful inner signal urging you to transform. It is a constant reminder that within you lies an immense potential waiting to be unlocked. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung taught us that by embracing our shadows and paying attention to the messages from our unconscious mind, we can turn chaos into clarity and fear into strength. This process is not easy, nor is it instantaneous, but it is deeply liberating. Imagine for a moment how your life could change if you chose to face your fears with courage, if you listened to your anxiety not as a burden, but as a guide, if you made decisions that were fully aligned with your most authentic self. What could you achieve if you lived this way? How would your relationships evolve? How would your sense of purpose shift? How much inner peace could you cultivate? This is not just an abstract idea. It is a real possibility within your reach. The only thing standing between you and this transformation is a single step, the decision to take action. So, let me ask you, what part of this message resonated with you the most? What action are you willing to take today to begin transforming your life? I would love to hear your reflections in the comments. Your words are not only valuable to you, they have the power to inspire others who may be going through similar challenges. Together, we can build a community where introspection and personal growth become the foundation for a more fulfilling life. If you believe this message could help someone, share it. Every time you share this kind of content, you are helping these ideas reach people who truly need to hear them. Transformation begins with you, but its impact can ripple far beyond your own journey. I also invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss new content designed to support you on your path of self-discovery. Each video is carefully crafted to guide you through the profound insights of Carl Jung and other great thinkers, adapted in a way that allows you to integrate them into your daily life. Anxiety does not define who you are. It is simply one stage of your evolutionary journey. Every time you choose to face your fears, to listen to your emotions, and to act from a place of truth, you are creating a life that is more authentic and meaningful. This is an act of bravery, one that not only benefits you, but also inspires those around you. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being part of this growing community. Remember, change begins within you, but together we have the power to transform the world around us. See you in the next video. Until then, keep exploring your inner world, keep growing, and above all, keep trusting that everything you need is already within you. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments.